I've heard a lot of chatter out there about early edge pressure in a high-end carved turn, and quite frankly, the term confuses me. Because when I'm making these turns right here, the last thing I'm thinking about is early edge pressure. In fact, it's quite the opposite. I'm trying to be as patient as I can to the new ski so I can rip these arcs. So what I want to do in this video is graph out where the pressure is in these turns and settle the debate. And it's not just going to be me skiing out there that we're going to look at. We're going to look at the man himself, Ted Ligety, and see if we can't come up with a graphical representation of these turns and try and figure out exactly where the pressure is in a high-end carved turn. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to graph the location of the turn here, and then we're going to graph the forces of the turn by using body weights, where one body weight is our y-axis, that's just standing on the ground, double, triple, quadruple body weights going this way, and then in the negative x-axis is down to 0 body weight, which would be getting light in between the turns, right? There you're getting light. Now if he was getting airtime, he'd be negative. I've controlled the y-axis by counting out the number of frames between where we're going to mark on the board. And in this case, it's 5 frames between each freeze frame. So that's how we're going to set it up. Every freeze frame is going to be one position and corresponding force going to the outside ski. And we're going to go through and we're going to graph this together and we're going to see if we can come up with some good data to analyze these turns. My assertions coming up here that the completion of the turn has the highest magnitude of force is validated by the CARVE data that came from Ted Ligety, and you can see that the bottom of the turn has more force than the top of the turn. But I really want to know where that pressure is in relation to that spot in the hill or where you are in that turn represented by the freeze frames and really be able to put it together in a more visually helpful way than just this CARVE data. So with all that being said, let's plot this turn on our graph. This first freeze frame here is the apex of this right-footed turn. Magnitude of pressure in black, position of turn in red. Next freeze frame, I have come down the mountain a little bit, I'm moving a little bit across the hill, and I've got more load on my feet than I did in the previous frame. I've moved a little bit further across the hill, and I'm continuing to increase the load of the turn. Now I'm coming across the hill a little bit further, and as you can see, my hips are starting to come up, so therefore load is being released from the outside ski. Here I've come across the hill even further, and I'm rising up, so I am releasing more pressure from the outside ski. Now the graph's really starting to take shape. You can see that I'm moving across the hill with my turn, and my load is decreasing as I'm releasing the ski moving across the hill. Here I am in transition. You can see that I've fully unweighted the skis. I'm going to move into less than body weight pressure here, and I've moved quite a bit further across the hill. At this point, you could say I've gone through the weight transfer. I've now switched to the new edge. However, I'm still fully unweighted at less than body weight pressure. Now I'm moving into the fall line of the new turn, and I'm gaining pressure on that outside ski. However, I'm definitely not under full load yet. Now I'm starting to settle into the turn. I'm definitely getting more pressure at the outside ski, and I'm starting to come straight down the fall line. Here I'm basically at apex of the new turn, and I'm at that same load I was here at the apex of the previous turn. Now I've started coming down the fall line, and I'm increasing the load on the outside ski. Now I've started to come back across the hill, and once again I'm increasing load on the outside ski. Now I'm really coming across the hill, and I'm probably under max load at this point in the turn, as gravity is now working against me. So here is my plot of the turn. Let's take a look at it here in the slow-mo. So here's the turn here, okay? Here's the apex, and now I'm going to continue to load the ski. The pressure is going to keep increasing. That's right here, increasing, 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 until you see the hips starting to come up. Now I'm releasing pressure until you get to the float. Right here, it's 2 5-frame rate freeze frames, okay? So there's some time there. Okay, less than body weight pressure. I have less pressure on my feet than my own body weight. make that transition, the edge switches. Now I'm moving to the new outside ski. I get to the outside ski, very light early in the turn, okay? This is where early edge pressure I don't think makes sense because I'm still light here, and then I get out closer to apex. Now the load is increasing, and then at apex, boom, massive load increase. This is where the most load comes, and then it continues to build through completion. One more time. Here we go through. There's apex, load, releasing the ski, light through here, still light, still, I'm trying to stay light here. So I'm trying to load the ski when the skis are hitting the fall line, boom, and then coming through with another sweet, clean completion. And that's the way I'm trying to do it. So now let's move on to Ted. Now, I've already gone through how I made the graph, so let me just rip through getting the plots on the board, and then we can focus on analysis. Bam! Okay, now we can go through and analyze how I got to these plots. Now I need to put a disclaimer out there before we go into it. I am super fortunate that I get to go shredding with Ted, and we talk a lot about skiing on the lifts, and the views and the analysis I'm about to give here is not necessarily Ted's way of describing it. They are mine and mine alone. Here we've got Ted moving into the first freeze frame. He's at apex. Load is increasing on the outside ski, just like it was for me. He's long on the outside ski here. Now he's starting to come up, transition, boom. He's light right here. Okay, so we're at our first less than body weight pressure frame. Go to the next one. Less than body weight pressure. There's the edge switch somewhere in here. Same thing out here, okay? The edge switch happened here. Notice that it's not in the middle of the turn. It's further across the hill. Now he is rolled up onto the new ski. However, he is very light still. I would say he's even lighter than I was at this point of the turn, which is, I think, one of Ted's superpowers. Next frame, boom, and you can just see how the load is getting there, okay? Boom, it's all the way out to here now, all right? So the load is happening quick. He's coming light. He's getting the ski touch of snow, and then boom, somewhere in here it really starts to ramp up and then increase as he moves through the turn, through completion. Okay, that's pretty close to apex right there. Now the load's really starting to build and he's coming out of it. Let's move back to the top of the run again. Remember what I started this video with was early edge pressure, okay? And what I'm seeing in his skiing is a float and a pressure, a float and a pressure, a float and a pressure, float and pressure, okay? And now that we have analyzed it with this graph right here, when we look at any of these turns, now we're seeing, okay, here's the load, completion, here he's coming up, there's the float, 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 pressure, okay? The pressure is over here somewhere. All right, let's do another one. This is a quick turn because he's going through a little narrow choke point, float, 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 and pressure. You can see the skis do get on edge and even start bending prior to heavy pressure. So he's getting him tilted up on edge, starting to bend him, he's going cleanly with it, but the pressure's there. So when I see this, what I see is actually a little bit later pressure, but I see a quick engagement of the ski when he wants it. And that engagement of the ski is pretty much moving into the fall line. So there it is, my analysis, my interpretation of the turn with demonstration from the man himself, Ted Ligety. I hope you found this helpful. I hope you can go out and have a new perspective on what good skiing looks like and improve your skiing right out of the gate. Remember, always tip your ski instructor and keep shredding out there. If you like this content and want more like it, then check out the carving playlist down below. My production capabilities might not be the best in the world, but I think that my concepts and ideas are accurate and achievable and worth your watching.